Back from the long Memorial Day weekend, Slice of Life returns to your timeline. That is Billy Harner from his front yard. My name is Keith Rad from my little New York City apartment. We're itching to get out, but until then, we've got some good stories, some heroes to highlight, and of course, sports wherever we can find it. Billy, I want to kick it off with your favorite social slice because it turned out to be my favorite social slice for the day.
Yeah, so I saw this video last night. The full thing is about 20 minutes long. And I actually sat down and watched the entire thing. And with my attention span, you know that it must be good if I could sit down and watch an entire 20-minute video. So to preface this, Mark Rober is a former NASA engineer who was instrumental in designing the Mars rover. So yeah, he's smarter than us. And but recently he's had some time on his hands, like the rest of us. And he's been designing something a little bit different. Take a look.
Almost to his demise, but he pulls off the smooth recovery. So after not much time at all, they were looking pretty good here. In fact, one morning I noticed Marty totally skipped the last step altogether, which I took as a challenge, and so I removed the middle step to see what they would do. And who else but Fantastic Gus? Let's slow that down a bit. They're such amazing jumpers, so I suppose the quick mastery here wasn't a surprise. I mean, this right here is probably a 10-foot jump. And here's some classic brave but dumb Frank. He'd already entered the course normally and made it to the home wrecker at least a dozen times by this point. And yet for some reason, he decides this 12-foot jump is his best course of action. And Smart Rick was the first one to enter the course, so in the end, after about a week of effort, it was fitting he was the one to make it to the jackpot first. And he's so stoked, he apparently wants to run the whole course in reverse. In hindsight, we probably should have made the jackpot a little.
So, like the rest of us, Mark was, Mark was bored. So he decided that he was going to take up bird watching. He installed a bird feeder in his backyard, and while he was watching the birds, he also noticed that the squirrels were having at it. So then he went and got a squirrel-proof bird feeder, which the squirrels were certainly not squirrel-proof, and the squirrels enjoyed as well. So it became a battle of man versus squirrel, yes. And he eventually created what can only be described as Squirrel Ninja Warrior in this backyard. It was unbelievable. A couple of things that, first of all, the ingenuity that this guy has, and just blows my mind that he had the wherewithal to put this thing together. Two, how ridiculously athletic these squirrels are. And three, just like, I don't get why they just followed the course. Like, it seemed like they knew that this was a thing. Like, they're wild animals. Why are they following these rules? Just jump over stuff and find your way. But it was an unbelievable video, fun to watch. And if you have the time, sit down and take a look.
Yeah, as soon as you sent this over, it was the easiest and fastest 20 minutes that I think I've ever experienced watching a video. In the beginning of this, some people might recognize this guy because, like you mentioned, he's a NASA engineer. He's done other videos. I saw one around Christmas time last year. Of course, everyone was stealing packages from porches and running off with them. He would install a camera. He'd be able to talk to them. He had like a stink button where he could press a button and like a gas would emit from this robot when people brought it the package back to their house. He's a genius, and I'm so glad that he's using this for his actions for good, because this video of squirrels is unbelievable. And I don't know what it is, like Planet Earth, Our Planet, all these animal videos, they're just fascinating. And this one is just another one. I guess we love squirrels because they're always in our backyard. So we kind of get interested in them. But there's so many things that I loved about this. I did love the fact that you just see them get faster and faster at it. And then when he is describing how squirrels in midair are falling from something, how they torque their bodies, get their hands ready to fall, I was just in love. So thank you for doing this.
Yeah, when he showed the video of like a squirrel jumping off of like a 30-story building and landing safely because of their terminal velocity, and this guy's explaining how it works. And then when he was breaking down like a play-by-play of all the different squirrels and their fictitious names and their personalities, the whole thing is just great. This guy's unbelievably talented at whatever he's doing. So much appreciated from my end for helping pass the time, for sure.
So let's keep it rolling with Planet Earth for my favorite social slice. I saw this video over the weekend and I fell in love with it because, well, just take a look. So I don't really have any backstory. There's no context. It's just a funny video that I saw of this bear in a Mercedes Benz. And again, it's like when animals show human characteristics of, he knows he got caught and he just kind of backpedaling away, step away from the Mercedes. I couldn't hold it in, belly laughing watching this.
Yeah, that video sort of looks like my son when I hear a loud bang in the basement and I go to check on him and he just sort of slinking away from whatever fell over and no, it wasn't me. So whenever animals take on human characteristics, it's always enjoyable.
Time for Chicken Parm Heroes. My Chicken Parm Heroes are Buddy and Barley from Six Harbors Brewing Company out in Huntington on Long Island. Mark and Karen Huewetter started doing delivery and takeout at their brewery, which was something, I mean, no brewery really knows what they're doing with that. It's all new territory. And then while they were driving around delivering their beer, some folks noticed that they had dogs in the truck. And then all of a sudden they hatched the idea, let's use the dogs to bring beer to the people on their porches or front doors or whatever it may be. So a couple of pictures of them. They have like a little chain around their neck. But if you're thinking what I'm thinking, they're dog lovers. They're not interested in harming anybody. Like we saw with the squirrel video, the NASA dude said, I'm not here to harm any squirrels. The cans that these dogs were sporting, I guess, were empty. It was just kind of for show. But the feeling of two golden retrievers just kind of like tackling you is the best thing ever. So Six Harbors Brewing, like this looks all great and they're doing whatever they can. They had to furlough like 11 of their workers. Their sales are down 70 to 80%. Like that's what's happening to people all over the country. But Buddy and Barley at least are a bright light right now for folks who need their delivery in with fur and just to put a smile on our faces. That's why we're here.
Yeah, Budweiser has the Clydesdale, so I guess these guys will have the golden retrievers going forward.
I mean, it'd be less scary to have these dogs charging at you with beer around their neck.
For sure. So for my Chicken Parm Hero, we're going to have our first non-animal story, I guess. I'll see if I can find a way to sneak it in. But my Chicken Parm Hero is Mickey Sumner, or as she's probably better known, Sting's daughter. She saw a very touching story on Humans of New York, which is like a Twitter, Instagram account where it's sort of anonymous and just telling stories of things that are going on in life. So this one particular story, there was a young woman who was talking about how her father, her adopted father, her stepfather, whatever you want to call him, passed away. And just introduced it by saying that she was 5 years old and all of a sudden she realized that her mom was happy again and didn't know who this man was, but knew that he was important because of that. So as life progressed, this man was a artist. He was sort of worked on vans and would like airbrush vans and put artistic drawings on different cars and things like that. So as he became a father and was starting a family, he left that career and became a law enforcement officer for something more steady, but he still had this burning creative desire and still wanted to be an artist deep down inside. So he eventually created a at-home art studio in his backyard, and he only completed one painting before he was diagnosed with MS. And the one painting was a portrait of Sting. So as the MS advanced and he was looking like he was going to finish his time here on Earth, he gave his daughter one mission. When they asked what he wanted the family to do with the portrait, he said, "Give it to Sting," and they all sort of laughed. And he was like, "No, seriously, I want you to give it to Sting." So she wrote this story and put it on Humans of New York, and Mickey saw it and was obviously touched by it, and has made the connection where the portrait is now on its way to the rightful owner of Sting. So just a very cool story to see, and what you like when things sort of have a way of working themselves out. And this was one of those instances where the right people got involved. And when you hear the story and you read through it, it's very touching and obviously something that you could get behind for sure.
Yeah, Humans of New York has really taken off in the last few years. It's an amazing profile on, like you said, Twitter. I'm pretty sure it's on Facebook. It's definitely on Instagram as well. But little snapshots of life, like you said, of people that are sitting in Central Park, and the interview will go up, take a picture, and write their story. And it's just great snapshot into what people are actually feeling, thinking, doing. So this was a beautiful tale because at the same time, there's a lot of celebrities that are just sitting around right now looking for something to do. And why not Sting, who I think was helpful. There was that telethon that we talked about on the show a couple weeks back. He was part of it, singing, playing the guitar for the city of New York. So he's definitely a good dude. Let's talk sports. Let's get a little nostalgic, Bill. What'd you find?
Yeah, so does the name Julio Franco ring a bell to you, Keith? I mean, it might be a little bit before your time, but there you go. There's that I bet that we all copied. At every point in your childhood, everybody tried to copy that Julio Franco batting stance. So he made his major league debut before I was born with the Phillies in 1982. So that was the first time I've been able to say that about a baseball player in a very long time. And he ended up playing until he was 49 years old, ending his career in 2007, which is unbelievable. So his career spanned 1982 to 2007. So just that by itself is a feat. So he played 23 seasons in the major leagues. Was a 3-time All-Star, batting champion, Silver Slugger, all that stuff. And he also had the most unique batting stance of all time. Well, during his career, he also had a brief stint during the work stoppage in the early 90s where he played baseball in Asia for the Chiba Lotte Marines. And now, at 61 years old, he's the hitting coach in the KBO for the Lotte Giants. And he's still got it. Take a look. So Keith, he's 61 years old, and he's still using the same swing, still has that torque, and he's taking some serious cuts against a guy who's like a professional baseball player. Like he's throwing in the high 80s, low 90s. I'm 37, and I did some gardening the other day, and I felt like I needed a wheelchair when it was over. So the fact that this guy is 61 and taking cuts against professional baseball players and is not in a full body cast is just completely unbelievable to begin with. But if you're ever wondering what happened to Julio Franco, there you go. He's over in the KBO, where I think me and some other people are waking up at 5 a.m. and watching game.
It's funny, you study hitting, and I always find myself floating to the hitting coach, the hitting coordinator, whoever it is, with whatever team that I'm associated with. I just am fascinated with hitting, and you learn about different things, and something called the bat wrap, which is where you wrap your bat so far back behind you, it just slows down your hands to get to the ball. I remember when I was a kid, I would bat wrap so much that as I was looking at the pitcher, I could see my bat out of the corner of my eye. And, you'd get a couple of fastballs blown by. You're like, what's the problem here? And then you look at Julio Franco, whose bat wrap is at 61, finally starting to catch up to him just a little bit. But the fact that he played 23 years and he played till he was 49, is that what he said, 49?
Yeah.
With that swing, it's amazing. It's almost, I could probably find out a laundry list of coaches that told him, don't do that, shorten up, do this, do that. And he just probably said, watch and learn. And that's so cool. That's so cool.
Yeah, you think of guys like Julio Franco and Gary Sheffield who had these outrageous batting stances and swings that no coach would tell them to do. And the amount of success they had is just sort of unbelievable. And it shows you just how skilled they were as athletes.
Speaking of baseball, my sports story has to do with Major League Baseball and the Players Union. For those of you who are baseball fans who want to know what on earth is going on with MLB, with minor league baseball this week, between now and the end of the week and potentially into June 1st, which is next Monday, this is kind of the time that everybody's going to get to figure out what is going on. They have been saying that they want to get baseball season going by the 4th of July. Games, so you have to work back 3 weeks for a spring training. So this is going to be it. So I just want to say as much as we can, Bill, about this whole situation. Is minor league baseball coming back? If so, what does it look like? Nobody knows. And I'm going to tell you that half the people who are making this deal don't even fully know what's going to happen. So will the Cyclones have a season? Will minor league baseball have a season? Yet to be determined, but this is the week that basically determines it, because you're looking at taxi squads. Do you have a AAA team? If someone gets hurt, where do you go? So this is a huge week to follow on Twitter or wherever it may be.
Yeah, it seems like with the NHL getting started, and they announced their plan yesterday to get things, how they would proceed going forward, and the NBA is sort of circling around the Disney World plan and getting started there. that it's sort of baseball's next up on the block. And the reports yesterday said that they want to go into spring training on June 10th, sort of work backwards from there. Would be a June 1st soft deadline to try to get something finalized by. So a lot of moving parts, a lot of people with a lot of things that they're focused on in terms of the salary and finances and all that stuff. So while they're figuring out whether or not the major leagues are going to play, the minor leagues are sort of on the back burner and will be sort of a little bit of an afterthought once they figure out if the big guys are going to be playing. So this is the big week. This is the big time to figure out what's going to happen. And New Jersey yesterday was the most recent state to say that you can start bringing people back, and Governor Cuomo is on board and bringing sports back. So hopefully they figure it out here in the next couple of days. And next week we have some spring training ideas and palm trees and guys doing pitching fielding practice and stuff like that. So we'll see.
Yeah, we shall see. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for Slice of Life for the rest of the week. We should have a special guest on at some point this week who can shed some light on what's going on in the medical world, as well as maybe a baseball interview. Maybe I'll just interview you for the rest of the week about this. Definitely not about gardening, though. It seems like it's not one of your strong suits. All right, Bill, we'll see you tomorrow for another Slice of Life.
I got to leave all my gardening to my neighbor, Green Thumb Greg, Conway. He takes care of everything.
See you later.
Later.